I'm not telling this story to scare anyone. I'm telling it because for a long time, everything that happened felt small, explainable, easy to dismiss. Only later did I realize that the problem wasn't any single moment. It was all of them together. For months, someone was inside my living space, not only when I was gone, but while I was asleep. I can say that clearly now. Back then, I couldn't. I live in an area packed with apartment buildings, close to a university. There are always people around, even late at night. That's why I thought this place was safe. My apartment is on the ground floor. You reach it by walking down a narrow path along the side of the building that leads to a shared backyard. When you enter, there's a short hallway. The door on the right is my apartment. The door on the left leads down to a storage room in the basement. The entrance is shared, but the doors are separate. There's no connection to the upper floors. I rarely use the storage room, but the walls are thin. Sounds carry more than you'd expect. The first thing I noticed wasn't really a sound. It was a feeling. One Tuesday night around 2:30 a.m., I was half asleep on the couch when I heard a dull noise from the back of the apartment, like something being gently dropped, soft, unclear. The TV was on, but the volume was low. I told myself it was the building settling. Old places make noise. I checked the backyard door. It was locked. Then I went to bed. The next morning, though, when I opened the door, something felt off. The lock worked, but the handle felt loose, as if someone had put pressure on it. I told myself I'd deal with it later. I didn't. A few evenings later, when I came home, I noticed the backyard light was off. I always leave it on. I sat in my car for a moment, trying to remember if I'd turned it off. I couldn't remember. Inside, everything looked normal. Still, that night, I walked through the apartment before going to bed. Not to check anything exactly. More like making sure everything felt right. A few days later, my alarm went off and my phone battery was at 12%. I always charge my phone overnight. It's automatic. The cable was still connected to my phone, but the charger wasn't plugged into the wall. I told myself I must have pulled it out in my sleep, but my phone was on the nightstand, not in bed. I still wanted a reasonable explanation. After that, I started staying up later. I turned the TV off and listened in the dark. Around 3 a.m., I heard it again. This time, it was slower, more deliberate, like footsteps. The next day, I found muddy footprints just inside the backyard door, but they weren't clear. It looked like someone had tried to wipe them away. I noticed thin scratch marks around the lock. I called a locksmith. I didn't mention the footprints. Part of me still hoped I was imagining things. I didn't want to sound paranoid. The lock was replaced. That night, I wedged a mop handle between the door handle and the wall, not to stop someone from getting in, but so I'd know if the door had been opened. In the morning, the mop handle was still in place, but the backyard door was unlocked. The new lock had been turned all the way. It felt intentional, as if someone hadn't opened the door to enter, but to prove they could. That was the first time I thought, maybe they didn't come in through that door at all. I called the police. They found no signs of forced entry. They suggested I might have unlocked it myself. I knew I hadn't, but I couldn't prove it. One night, I was lying in bed awake with the lights on. I heard a sound from the basement. The storage door was slightly open. I stepped into the hallway and looked down through the gap. At the bottom of the stairs, I saw a silhouette. It wasn't moving. I shut the door and ran outside. When the police came this time, they took someone out of the storage room. Seeing him didn't bring relief. It created something worse. My mind immediately went to one question. How long had he been there? The food they found wasn't close to running out. The water bottles were neatly stacked. A phone charger was plugged into a single outlet like it had been used for a long time. One officer pointed to a bed made from old insulation. "He's been sleeping down here," he said. That's when it hit me. When I was home, he was home. When I showered, when I walked around in pajamas, when I fell asleep on the couch. The walls were thin, sounds carried. He knew when I left, he knew when I slept, and he knew when I was most vulnerable. As they led him to the police car, I looked at him, not at his face, at the way he stood. He never looked at me, but even without eye contact, a sickening realization spread through me. This was someone who had watched me for a long time, someone who may have known my life better than I did. Days later, I found the photo on my phone. It was taken at 3:11 a.m. I was asleep in my bed, my face relaxed, mouth slightly open. The angle was close. The photo had been taken using the lock screen camera access. The same morning, I'd found my phone unplugged. I brought it to the police. This time their tone changed. They told me this wasn't just trespassing. It was a sexual violation. Someone standing over me while I slept. Close enough to hear my breathing, close enough to touch me. Choosing not to, but taking the photo instead. It was an assault without contact, but an assault all the same. That's when I understood something worse than fear. He wasn't just living near me. He had witnessed moments of my life that were never meant for anyone else. I still live here, but everything is different. I lock the door when I shower. I don't leave my phone by the bed. I never go near the storage room alone. And at night, before I fall asleep, I lie still for a while, eyes open, because sometimes the most lasting fear isn't that someone hurt you. It's realizing they stood close enough to do it and chose when to stop. And some violations leave no marks at all.